brought up on a ski sled and then rolled over into the snow and dragged up against the tree. But he was pistol whipped on the right side of his head, probably by a left-handed assassin.
Yeah. Well, they said on the news, Benazir Bhutto hit her head. She's on tape being machine gunned. We'll be right back.
Texas, Alex Jones.
We're catching up on 17 years of me never having Bob Fletcher on air. We're tentatively setting him up for next Thursday in the 3rd hour. He'll be on sometime with us next week, probably next Thursday. We have a special guest, by the way, on the Nightly News Style. I'll tell you about that coming up in the next segment. But listen, for folks that aren't online and can't go to bobfletcherinvestigations.com to check out your films and materials and special reports there that are in text, is there a P.O. box or some other way for folks to contact you?
Yes, as a matter of fact. Guys, grab up a pencil there. It's Post Office Box 216, Bayview, B-A-Y-V-I-E-W, Idaho 83803. That's 216, Bayview, Idaho 83803, and drop us a note if you're not online. We'll send you a little catalog, shows you what we've been doing.
Wonderful. We've only got 4 minutes left with you, and you're on next week, graciously. On the world today, on all the craziness, the NDAA, I mean, everything you talked about's come true. I mean, this is crazy. What's your view in the general world, where we're headed, what the New World Order's up to?
Well, it's going to be interesting because I'm not sure. They're having to mix the crazy stuff that they're artificially put on us with some of the real changes of the earth, so to speak, that may put us into dire emergencies. So between the false stuff that they're applying and the real stuff that's coming down from nature, I don't know if they know what to do. But what's really spooky, and I have not investigated very much, is the multitude of gigantic underground facilities that the bad guys have spent our money on,
yes,
preparing for themselves to have a place to jump and hide when the stuff hits the fan. And so, I don't know, it's putting them into a little trick bag. I don't know what they think they're going to be controlling if, in fact, everything's blown up and flown apart above ground.
All right, well, the first thing we're going to cover then is weather modification and deep underground bases, which they admit they've built, but again, that's secret. The details are secret. Unbelievable amounts of money there. What else are we going to cover next week?
Well, we can talk about, of course, I'll tell you something, that is some brand new things that nobody's ever even, I've not even talked much about, is the bombs, the Oklahoma. You know, we have the anniversary coming up in a couple of weeks on the Oklahoma bombing, and I have connections that I will talk about for the first time on your show relative to what I've discovered on that. It's really, it really freaked me out, and it's very real about who was involved with some of that, the rest of the bombs. That
you better say real quick and give the details next week. We don't want you to die in a skiing accident. Just real fast, who?
Oh, and Gary Best, the arms dealer that was in my company, I found out, had moved temporarily 1.5 miles away from the bomb site and had previously supplied electronic detonators for C4 plastics for the Contras, and he was in Oklahoma with a covert operation.
Well, we know the head of anti-terrorism was there and got caught lying about it.
Yeah, well, and of course they did retrieve a couple of bombs that did not go off.
Yeah, that was on the news.
And they disappeared. Yeah, we have that all on video, of course. Well, we can talk about that, and or we can talk about some of the weapons that people just would not believe that we utilized and tested down in Panama when we invaded the Panama. We did the Panama invasion.
Super weapons.
Right. Well, laser weapons that melted humans. And we have some of that, unfortunately, on video, which is pretty disgusting.
Yeah, I've seen that in the Panama deception. Wow. Okay, we're going to cover it all next Thursday. I'm going to call you in about 10 minutes to double check. You haven't been able to see your schedule yet, but next Wednesday, next Thursday, Bob Fletcher, full hour to get into all the other stuff. Amazing. Bob, thank you so much for spending time with us.
God bless you. Take care.
I'll say bye to you right now. Bob Fletcher, investigations.com. I'm Alex Jones with Infowars.com and Prisonplanet.tv. This is Alex Jones with 5 good reasons you should consider. Okay, for the next 40 minutes or so, we are joined here by Pastor Lindsey Williams. Then I'm going to air part of our exclusive interview with Sheriff Joe Arpaio with our reporters Patrick Henningsen and Rob Jacobson. They both went there and interviewed Arpaio. I didn't want to talk about it until they had gotten back with the footage. And there's a bunch of it. They had a long, hour-long meeting with the chief investigator, Zolo. He's been up all night. He got back last night. Late last night, and Jacobson hasn't slept, and it's done now, so that's coming up. Strangely enough, Lindsey, who lives out there, was the one that told us about some of this info and to go out there, but he can't even get into it himself because he's sworn to secrecy. Arpaio's pretty freaked out. I mean, they really believe that the birth certificate's all fake, which of course it is, and everything else. And you can watch the video of the police and the press conferences. They're all pretty scared, and they should be. In fact, I can now say it because it's on record, because one of their chief investigators, private investigators they've got, Dr. Jerome Corsi, that he's been told by Arpaio get security, and Arpaio has more security. And that's breaking news. That broke like a week ago, and nobody picked it up here on the show. In fact, we should do an article about it, that Arpaio has increased security because of from the White House. So we've got that coming up. Now, Lindsey Williams, one of his oil company exec sources died about a year ago, Ken Fromm, a little more than a year ago. He's got the other source. I know the source's name. Lindsey said here about 6 months ago, he said, now it's going to start going up. And then now we have the headlines of $200 a barrel oil. The national average, AAA says, is $3.90. Some areas over $4.50. It's all starting. Dollar devaluation. Now they're finally talking about QE3. A little bit later than some people thought. Lindsey said, no, it's not going to be till the end of 2012. And, of course, much of what Lindsey said over time has turned out to be frighteningly accurate. So no need to thank us or anything, Lindsey. Just out of the gates, give us those bullet points. We didn't even get to them all Sunday. We've got limited time. You're gracious to join us. Give us the data dump up front, the latest info that Mr. X has given you.
There is not going to be a financial collapse in April, May, or June. You did hear correctly. There is going to be one. There positively will be a financial collapse. It is already planned. There were many people who made fortunes during 1929 through 33 during the Great Depression because they knew what was going to happen. If you will listen to my elitist friend, you can spare yourself major heartache. Now, you have time. This is a window of opportunity. Take advantage of it right now. When will the financial collapse take place? I am going to tell you today, right here on the Alex Jones Show. Also, my elitist friend has told me why Mr. Obama may not be reelected. You heard me correctly. I said he may not. I didn't say he wasn't going to be. I said he may not, and it's all because of the Keystone Pipeline, and there's so much more involved in that than you ever could have imagined. You are going to be amazed. Back in 1966, I bought gasoline for 35 cents a gallon. At the same time, that same year, I could go into a bank and place a $1 bill on a counter and get a silver dollar, 1 ounce of silver. 1979, for the first time, gasoline in September of that year went to $1 a gallon, and we thought the world was coming apart. In 2004, in May of that year, it went to $2 a gallon. 2005 went to $3. 2008, it went to $4. In the past 2 weeks, you've seen it go up 19 cents. It is going to $7 and $8. Mark my words, you may as well prepare and get ready for it. There are things taking place amongst the elite right now that are so startling. If you will take time to do something about it, you can prepare and spare yourself major heartache. Now, Alex, I've got to say congratulations on what you did with Sheriff Joe Arpaio. and I thank you for that. You allowed me to give it to one of your producers here a while back that you should contact him immediately.
Well, sure, he didn't get into everything. He didn't get into all of it, but he covered a lot. It's coming up. We have even more with the chief investigator that we're going to get on the nightly news as soon as we can. We've got like hours of stuff. But let me tell you, I already found what their investigation found, and I just went and looked at it. I mean, I said, okay, here it is. Let's go look at it. And I know fake typewriter fonts on computers. Every typewriter strike is original, like a fingerprint or a snowflake, because of how hard you hit the key and what's going on with the ribbon. It's all fake typewriter. The C's are the same. The B's are the same. The T's are. It's all the same. It's a fake computer typewriter font. It's 100% just on that. Everything else is fake. The selective service is fake. The Social Security number is somebody else's. The State Department said his dad wasn't his dad and kicked him out of the U.S. No kidding, looks nothing like him. His real name is Barry Soetoro. They admit that. 3 years ago, we were kooks to talk about it. On and on and on. It's all fake. And Arpaio is, well, we're going to get to the interview. But let's start getting into... I mean, did he tell you specifically when the collapse, the planned collapse is going to take place?
All right, we'll go to the collapse first. Now, you positively are going to see one. About a year ago, I was put in touch with a gentleman. Please write his name down. Folks, I beg of you, everyone out there in the listening audience today, please get a pencil and piece of paper right now and write down some of the facts that my elitist friend have told me. Keep in mind, these people are now in their 70s and 80s. They are concerned about their children. One of them has talked with me on a regular basis for the past few days. He's concerned about his wife. And when you get to the place you're facing the graveyard, sometimes you say things you won't say otherwise. I lived with these people for 3 years, have kept in touch with them over the years. And as a result, I can honestly say there positively is a group of people on the face of the earth who control the world. What about the financial collapse? Yes, it is going to take place. I was put in touch about a year ago with a gentleman by the name of Tom Fowler. Please go and look him up. You can talk with him personally if you wish. He just completed a DVD series with me in which he tells his entire story on Wall Street and the corruption that he saw there. And I said, Tom, would you be willing to tell your story? And he said, yes. Well, I did mine also. And he said and was told, and so also I was told, it fits perfectly together. When will the collapse take place? It is not going to take place during April, May, and June for a reason. The elite are intentionally creating massive debt in every nation, every city, every county, every state, all over the world. They have not created all of the debt that they want to create yet. They're creating it for the purpose of when they finally do decide to let the collapse take place, they will have no chance. Let's take, for instance, Greece. Whenever Greece, they bought their bonds. Who in the world in their right mind would buy any Greek paper? They know good and well it's bankrupt. There's no way that they're going to make their money back. But that's what it's all about. The elite have bought the Greek bonds and the Greek paper. But when Greece fell, the whole financial system did not collapse. And many people were saying it was going to, and I said, no, it's not going to. Well, whenever they do allow it to collapse, they can merely step in and say, Greece, you have no choice. We own your paper. We own you. We have bought your bonds. Now, you have no choice but to accept our new currency. After all, your currency has already collapsed. But, folks, that's not only Greece. Do you realize that's going to happen in America? When we get up to 15, 18, 20 trillion dollars worth of debt, and the American dollar has collapsed. Oh, by the way, please, put it down if you haven't before. The dollar will be dead by the end of 2012. I did not say it was going to be non-existent. It will still be there. Listen to the words carefully of the elite. The dollar will be dead by the end of 2012, and whenever they do allow the collapse to take place, they can step in and say, America, forget about your Constitution. Your children are crying. You're going hungry. Your dollar is so worthless that you take a wheelbarrow load of dollars to the grocery store to buy a loaf of bread.
You're saying that by December, it's going to be no longer the world reserve currency. How long will it take then, if your source is right, for people to really get desperate?
Get desperate shortly, and let me prove to you why, please. Now, I'm glad you have those pencils and paper by now. China and Japan 2 months ago signed the largest trade agreement that's ever been signed on the face of the earth in history, and they said we'll sail and trade amongst ourselves. America is the number one economy in the world. China is number two. Japan is number three. And they said we will not use the American dollar, the petrodollar, the reserve currency of the world, for this trade agreement. We will use other currencies. The dollar, at that point, for all practical purposes,